Can we play that again, and this time play it with a little bit more feeling and a little bit more emotion, not just a bunch of notes?
How many times have young musicians heard that from their private teacher or band director? For the most part, playing with more expression has always been a concept that's hard to teach and hard to learn, until now. This video will show you how to express yourself with some easy-to-understand techniques. Soon, you'll be playing more than just a bunch of notes. You'll be playing meaningful music.
Much better. That's the way to play with expression.
A synthesizer can be programmed to play musical notes with a high degree of precision. Each note is played with the exact same volume at the exact same tempo, but this isn't expressive music. So how do you express yourself? First, let's start with the English language. If I read this sentence as a meaningless string of words, it sounds like this. When the concert ended, the audience roared its approval. A boring monotone isn't very expressive, is it? Let's add a little punctuation by inserting a comma. When the concert ended, the audience roared its approval. That's a little more expressive, but let's emphasize the word roared. When the concert ended, the audience roared its approval. Now we're getting somewhere. The final step is to slow down the last half of the sentence to give it a dramatic flair. When the concert ended, the audience roared its approval. This kind of punctuation, dynamic emphasis, and tempo control should also be used in playing music. A musical phrase is much like a sentence. A breath mark acts like a comma. A crescendo to an important accented note provides dynamic emphasis, and tempo changes help express emotions. As you can see, there are a lot of similarities between language and music. The steps we take are like the beats of music. You can see the upbeat and downbeat of each step. The Greeks called the weak upbeat arsis and the strong downbeat thesis. Life is full of natural rhythms, each with an arsis and a thesis. The lifting of the hammer is the arsis. The dropping of the hammer is the thesis. The pulling back of the bow is the arsis. The release of the arrow is the thesis. Breathing in is the arsis. Breathing out is the thesis. All steps end with a thesis when the foot touches the ground. But what happens on the arsis or upbeat before the foot touches the ground determines the style of the step. You can march into a step, leap into a step, or even jump into a step. The same is true with music. The character of a downbeat or thesis is often determined by what happens on the upbeat or arsis. Note groupings depend on the arsis-thesis relationship. For example, an arsis triplet is incomplete without a fourth note as a thesis, and an arsis couplet sounds incomplete without a third note as a thesis. The bottom group of notes has the same flow as the prepositional phrase up the wall. The arsis words up and the play the same role as the two arsis eighth notes, and the thesis word wall plays the same role as the thesis quarter note. In music, an arsis frequently occurs on beats 2 and 4, and a thesis on beats 1 and 3. What it all boils down to is even though downbeats are important, there's a lot of musical expression in what goes on during the upbeats. The arsis-thesis concept has multiple levels and extends beyond simple note groupings. An entire musical phrase also has an arsis and a thesis. A concert band rehearsal provides an ideal setting for teaching interpretive musical phrasing using the simple express yourself exercises. This is the highly acclaimed Lafayette High School Band from Lexington, Kentucky, under the direction of Stephen Moore.
Let's start on Express Yourself, and we're going to begin with the first exercise and just play the quarter notes as written. Okay, now you see where the arrows lead from beat 4 to beat 1, and from beat 2 to beat 3, and from beat 4 to beat 1 again. Let's make that increase in intensity. Push the beat 4 into beat 1. Ready? Breathe. let's do the same thing with the exercise on the scale. Dee-daw, 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 dee-daw. Ready? Okay, this is a group of exercises to help us to understand how to group notes together and make more sense out of the phrasing of those. So it's note grouping to increase your expression. Now let's do that with half notes. When you're doing half notes together, then it's going to be the second half note leads to the first half note of the measure. So 3, 4 leads to 1. Let's try that on the half note exercise by themselves. Ready? 1, 2. So in this case, then the arsis is that half note that leads to beat 1. Beat 1 half note would then be thesis. Okay? And the arsis is where we're going to increase the tension. So it's not all volume, it's also intensity. It's direction of air. It's leading to the next beat. So now let's try that on the scale in thirds exercise. Dee-daw, dee-daw. Ready? So really, the arsis being the intensity thing, it's very similar to taking a bow, pulling the bow back, adding the tension, and release. So you're releasing the arrow, and that's the thesis. So it's that building, building, building. That's the arsis. Let's get all the tension in that we can. Let's do that same exercise again and keep that in mind and really build that tension as we go. Ready? 1, 2. Right. Now, of course, this also applies to eighth notes. And a lot of times in music, we've kind of been trained to play eighth notes like this, you know, da da dee 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 da da. In fact, let's play a scale like that. Let's play the concert B flat scale, starting on the low B flat. 1 and 2 and ready and go and. We've grown kind of used to hearing eighth notes like that. So now let's try to do them with this emphasizing of the arsis a little bit, the upbeat. And in fact, that's what arsis really means, is upbeat. And it comes from the Greek term that they use for upbeat. And let's play a little bit more like this. Dee da 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 dee da. Ready? 3 and 4. Okay, now that's the right idea, but it seemed a little bit unnatural, didn't it? And sort of like you can have something that's overdone, like maybe too much makeup or something. It just, you know, we need just the right amount. Not too hot, not too cold, just the right temperature on this. Dee da 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 dee da. Ready? And 2 and 3 and go. Sounds totally different. All right, now let's take a look at it when it goes into triple meter. And in this case, you have 2 beats that are the arsis beats. From 2 and 3 lead to 1 now. Okay? So let's take a look at the quarter note exercise. Starts with the rest, and let's play that one first. Ready? Rest. 2. triplets, leading again to 1. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Now let's try it on the next exercise, the chromatic exercise, going up. Here we go. We're going to play the top note for 3 beats and then come back down on it, right? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, go. Right, let's do that again. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Ready, go. And the next exercise. Same thing in triple meter, starts on beat 2. 1, 2, 3, 1. Great. Now, same thing also applies in 6/8, which is like triple meter. You just have 2 of them in a measure. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yes, beats 1 and 4 are still accented. They're still very important. But we're giving a little bit of life to the inner beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. Let's try that on the straight 6/8 regular eighth notes there. Concert F. Ready? Go. And number 6. Jum ti ta ti ta ti dum ta 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 ta. Ready? Go. Great. And let's go on and do the chromatic exercise the same way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, let's take that a little bit faster. And the faster you go, the more of the notes that can be grouped together. So instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it'll be more like this. Ya da da dee da da dee da 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 dee ba da 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 ba da dee da da da. So you're really taking the next 5 notes and leading to 1, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. Ready? Ready? Go. Great. And you know your chromatic scale. Let's do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, now let's do the next exercise, which kind of takes us all through the different note values and see if we can get each one to lead to the next one. And the very first one that does is a whole note. And so even a whole note can lead to the next one, which is really important to know when you're applying this to accompaniment figures, because you may not always have the melody in a band piece. And so let's say you have 4 whole notes. You need to be able to take those whole notes and also give those the same life and energy that you would the melody. In other words, play them like you would a melody. All right, so let's take that first whole note and lead it across the bar line. Ready? Good. Now we want to remember not to do this all with volume, because there are some people that are kind of surging the sound out, like dee da dee da dee, and that's not correct. It's also a way to keep you from rushing. So you want to think of it in terms of this leading will also help you from going da 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 da, but more like dee 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 da. And if we start on the triplets, it sounds dee 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 da. Let's start on the triplets and play it that way. Ready? 3 la li, 4 la li. again, don't bump the first one, so it's not dee 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 da dee dee dee, but it's dee 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 da dee 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 da dee da 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 da. But it's a little bit covered on beat 1 and 2. Ready? 16ths. Ready? Go. All right. Let's apply this to some actual melodies. Let's turn over to the melody, Appalachian Spring. Starts on concert E flat. Dee 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 da dee do dee da da. Let's try that one. Ready? And let's do that with D flat in the key signature, okay? D, 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 D. All right, let's try that again. Ready? D flat. Good. D, 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 da, D, da, D, da, 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 D, da, 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 da. So if I had to snatch a breath in there somewhere, did I breathe before arsis or before thesis? Yeah. So it's always breathe before arsis if you need a breath. Let's try that now. Ready? 2, 1. All right, and let's do the same thing with the Great Gate. Here we go. Right, now let's do that same melody again, and we're going to imagine that the bar lines don't even exist. They're not there. So you're breathing not on the bar line at all, but you're pushing the sound through. Because if you think of the melody, it has nothing to do with bar lines, does it? It goes over and around and under the bar lines. Let's try that. Ready? Okay, now we've gone through the exercises and we've seen how the exercises apply, and we've done a couple of melodies, but of course the real thing is to apply it to a piece of music and to bring that piece of music to life. And so we're going to study a little bit of the hymn song of Philip Bliss today, and there's a couple of things that we're going to do to help this make more sense to you. One of them is, we have it on the board. Here's the melody line on the board with the first and the fourth verse written on there. So you can see how that fits the notes. And a lot of times when you have the words with the song, it becomes even more clear as to what note groups belong together in a phrase. And I think that's really the case with this one. And to kind of help really bring this to life, Miss Hostetter has agreed to sing it for us today. Okay, so we're going to get the first and fourth verse of It Is Well With My Soul. And you might also want to kind of see where you have that in the music.
When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot thou hast taught me to say, it is well, it is well Haste the day when my faith shall be sight. The clouds be rolled back as a scroll. The trumpet shall sound, and the Lord shall descend. Even so, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well, it is well with my soul.
Okay, this is the form of on a hymn song by Philip Bliss. And the first part, the 8 bars here, is the introduction. And that's composed by Mr. Holsinger. And then the first verse is 16 bars. It's followed by the chorus, which is 6 bars. And then there is a link between the chorus and the next verse. And it's the same material as the introduction. Then we're going to call this the last verse of the hymn. And it's, again, 16 bars, followed by the chorus. And then the coda is the same music as in the introduction, very similar to that, and also the link. So if we gave this a form, it could be called A, B, C, A, B, C, A. Now let's start right at letter 9. Let's just kind of play it normally. Just like if you weren't note grouping at all, you're just playing the notes right at letter 9. And it starts actually two beats before number 9 with the pickup in the horns. Ready? 1, 2. Now let's do that again, and this time let's add the arsis with the pickup and really add the intensity on every one of those arsis notes. Ready? Starting 2 beats before 9. Nice attack. 1. So you come in on that last beat, and that's whatever. So that leads us in to the middle of that verse. Okay? Now let's start at the beginning, and thinking of the 8th notes as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Very connected, but using the arsis and giving it the life. Here we go. Let's talk about this in terms of larger phrasing groups. Like if you have 4 bars, the first entire bar is thesis, the second bar is arsis, the third bar is thesis, and the fourth bar is arsis. And a lot of the harmonic interest is in the arsis bar. And so that entire bar is going to lead to the next beginning of the next phrase. And that's the case here. But the one thing that's a little bit different about that is that it has a diminuendo in it. So you can see that we're going to have to increase that intensity, keep that interest going, but do it in the context of a diminuendo. So it'll have to really be with intensity, not volume. Let's try that again from the very beginning. And each bar leads to the next one. Sounds nice. Just want to point out a couple of things to you. One thing that's interesting in the verse, you can think when the person is writing this and thinking about this, the trump shall resound at 50. The trumpet, is playing. Of course, it's very brassy and very, very loud there. And the Lord shall descend, and that's, of course, the climax of the piece, right? Coming right then, it is well with my soul. That's when he climaxes the entire composition that goes along with those words. And I think you can see how each one of those, the groupings, really fit together with the words and the arsis and thesis concept. Also, you'll notice, like when you have the 16th notes in the woodwinds, it's on 2E and a 3, like at 50 and at 51 and 52. It's, again, arsis leading the thesis. 2E and a 3 and rest. 2E and a 3. That approach right there. That also happens in the saxes at bar 55. Let's draw that one more time, starting at the pickups to 42. And let's see if we can get these, see if we can get the build before it to really occur. So we'll have even more of an emotional climax when we get to the phrase at 50. And can we have a little bit more melody at the end from the trombone? Okay? And at 64, on the second alto and tenor sax come in there. That's the melody line there. So everybody else is really soft, so you come on out a little bit more with your melody. Okay? Also, we want to notice that when we're stretching a beat, it's usually the beat right before the bar line, or the and right before the bar line, and that, of course, is the arsis beat. So usually that's not only a pickup note, but it's an interesting harmony going on, and it's often the note that we want to stretch and just keep it a little bit longer, hold it out, and then move on to the next beat. And it's interesting, I think, that occurs on the arsis. Let's do that one beat before 42. Here we go.
Now, the next time your teacher asks you to play with more feeling and more emotion, you'll know exactly what to do to express yourself. The best way to express yourself in a marching band is to have a strong fundamental warm-up program to provide a solid foundation. It should be a warm-up program that continually improves tone, intonation, and technique. Here are some exercises to use before each practice to improve the overall musicianship. First of all, the entire warm-up should be memorized. Always use the correct breathing by taking full, deep breaths. And use a good formation. A semicircle with the lower voices in the middle and the higher voices on the ends works well. Let's start with exercise number 1. Playing and singing long tones helps set the correct embouchure and allows the throat to open to produce a rich, dark sound. Long tones also encourage breath support and help improve the overall intonation. Lip slurs develop the strength and flexibility of the brass players and the technique of the woodwind players. Lip slurs also act as exercises to keep the air flowing even though you're changing notes. Brass players should keep the corners of their mouths firm and allow the tongue to change notes. The higher the note, the higher the tongue, and the faster the air. Mellophones should play their lip slurs a perfect fourth down from the rest of the band. Eighth note lip slurs cover an entire octave and help extend the range of the brass players. Playing lip slurs in this rhythm pattern helps work on the timing to increase lip slur speed. Exercise number 5 involves lip slurs that are more difficult and shouldn't be used until the other lip slurs are under control. These lip slurs further extend the range and train players to skip partials when slurring. Snap the tongue as though you're saying ta-e when slurring from the 5th scale degree to the 3rd scale degree. These lip slurs also make a good arpeggio practice for the woodwinds. This scale exercise is a timing exercise that teaches the subdivision of the 8th note. It also works well as a concentration exercise. This is another version of the scale exercise with the notes coming in on the and of the beat. It takes even more concentration. There's no place to hide if you make a mistake. Exercise number 8 is an articulation exercise that regulates the motion of the tongue. Use a da articulation with quarter notes and eighth notes, and a dit articulation with triplets and 16th notes. concentrate on keeping the air flowing. Imagine a garden hose with a stream of water representing a stream of air and a hand representing a tongue. The hand interrupts the flow of water, but does not stop it. Exercise number 9 assists in tuning because it builds a chord. This allows the students to hear the 3 notes of a major triad melodically and harmonically. This exercise should also be sung. Hold your hand on your chest to check for resonance. And finally, the J. Dawson arrangement of the Star-Spangled Banner is an excellent way to end the warm-up. The music is mostly legato and promotes a good blend and balance. It provides the band members an opportunity to really listen to themselves and improve their intonation, musicality, and expression. It's important that you use these exercises on a regular basis. Don't neglect them. Good luck. Now you too have the tools to express yourself.